Hey guys, this is the voice of YouTube's very own Shadow Dash here, coming at you with a very special video. As everyone knows, today is Sonic the Hedgehog's 30th birthday. And at the time of recording this, I'm tired, so I want to apologize if I seem sort of like robotic with my speech. Originally, the plan was to do a interview with Johnny Gioeli, the singer of Crush 40, for my 30th anniversary special thing for you guys, but something came up on his end. He had to do a recording today at the time of recording this, and he had to do it right away. So it's going to be rescheduled to next week. I'm just waiting at the time of recording this. I'm waiting for the reply back from his assistant. So once I get the new date and all that, then I will let you all know. And of course, because of this, you guys can still ask me questions. Just remember, one question per person, and don't make it too personal. So yeah, I decided to do my top 5 favorite Sonic games. Number 5 is a tie. I could not pick between these three. I love all three of them equally. They were probably my earliest Sonic games I've ever played and owned. So let's start with Sonic Adventure 1. The game that finally brought Sonic to 3D. It was, I believe, and because you can probably hear my dogs in the background, which I do apologize for that. I believe that this game was a launch title for the Sega Dreamcast, which was Sega's last console that they did, and it was a pretty good console. It did things that the PS2, the GameCube couldn't even do, but the reason why it was buried was because the PS2 had a DVD drive. Let's be honest, that's probably the biggest reason why the PS2 was so successful. Actually, that's probably the biggest reason why Sony consoles are successful in general, because they're basically cheap DVD or Blu-ray players. Or in terms of the PS5, HD, 4K, Ultra HD Blu-ray players. But anyways, Sonic Adventure is a game that has kind of gotten this. There are still a lot of people that love it. It is a special game. But there are people on the internet that have started to point out flaws about it. But here's the thing, okay? Every game has its flaws, no matter how old it is. You know, it is what it is. So I'm not going to focus on the flaws of the game. I might point out things I do not like. So, what was so cool about Sonic Adventure was that you get to play as 6 different characters: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big, and Gamma. And then finally, once you complete all 6 of their stories, and it didn't really matter who you started with for the most part, but you do start out with Sonic and you unlock everyone else throughout the game. So obviously, people would probably play as Sonic and stick with Sonic, and then after that, they can pick who they want to be. You know, the story is pretty cool because it adds a bit. You know, what I love about the 3D era games is that they add more of this. They definitely bring in a lot of influences from like mythology and history, which, as a big history buff, I love that. So to see like the old Echidna tribe basically referencing the whole Aztecs was pretty cool, and learning about pretty much Knuckles' tribe, and you know, trying to put this puzzle together of who Chaos is and who is this little orange ball of energy is. You know, it was cool. And of course, when it comes to the gameplay, I mean, they did pretty good of taking the 2D Sonic gameplay and turning it into 3D. I don't care if people disagree with me. I personally think that they did a good job. And now, when it comes to some of the characters, yes, I don't particularly like Big's gameplay. As a character, he's fine. He's pretty basic. He doesn't really have anything like that makes me go, oh yeah, Big is one of my favorite characters, and he has definitely became a meme on the internet for sure. He's probably the only thing I don't really enjoy about Sonic Adventure, and probably also the Shadow Garden, because normally what I do in Sonic Adventure, I will take all of the special colored eggs and then I will end up transferring them over to Sonic Adventure 2, because I prefer Sonic Adventure 2 Shadow Garden. It's a big improvement over Sonic Adventure 1, because in Sonic Adventure 1 there are no Chaos Drives. I'm not the biggest fan of having a Sonic Chow and he has like feathers on the top of his head. That's just weird. You know, if I want a Sonic Chow, I want him to look like Sonic, right? And of course the music. I mean, this was the first video game that had Crush 40 doing like the big opening track, which was Open Your Heart, and of course It Doesn't Matter and Unknown from ME. You know, the list goes on. There's and even the level soundtracks themselves is pretty fire as well. And of course, probably one of my favorite moments in the game is probably the Supersonic fight, which I get the feeling a lot of people would probably point that out as probably one of their favorite moments in Sonic Adventure. You know, hearing like the crowd cheer Sonic on, and you know, seeing him actually use the positive energy, which is weird because that pretty much suggests that the reason why the Chaos Emeralds have color is because that's the negative energy, which is kind of interesting to me. I wish they would have explored that, to be honest. And that boss was actually pretty fun, and ironically enough, a little tidbit, you would have actually been able to play as Supersonic in levels, but they took it out. And then obviously that's when the whole tradition started, to where you would only play as Supersonic in the boss fights, until I believe they started doing that again with Sonic Colors. I believe it was Sonic Colors, to where they made it to where you can actually play Supersonic in levels again. What else to talk about with this game? The only thing I don't like about this game is the Casinopolis stage of Sonic is a bit too slow paced for me. It actually, in my opinion, at least with the Werehog, you're actually staying busy and all that. And I know that there's criticisms about the Werehog stages because of how slow it is, plus other weird reasons. But again, I'm not here to focus on the negative, unless it's things I personally don't like. I don't like the fact that I have to get all these rings to get one stinking Chaos Emerald, while Tails actually has it to where you actually go through a level, and then Knuckles is just find the 3 emerald pieces. So that is definitely something that they could have executed a little better for sure. But other than that, I have no complaints. One other thing I did not like was the fact that you had to re-fight Chaos 4 a bunch of times, like 3 times, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. That got a little bit ridiculous to me. But it does make sense too at the same time, because you have it to where, you know, all 3 characters are in the area where he appears, so it makes sense, I guess. But still, they could have released with, like, you know, maybe with like Tails or Knuckles, they actually show like a cutscene of Sonic taking him on or something. But other than that, I think that Sonic Adventure is a solid game. You know, it had tons of re-releases. You know, it was on the GameCube, and then it's on PC, and then now it's on like a lot of modern consoles: PS3, Xbox 360, PS4 through PlayStation Now, Xbox One through backwards compatibility, Steam. So there's a lot of ways you can play Sonic Adventure nowadays. Next up is Sonic Adventure 2, a game that was actually my first introduction to the Sonic game series, but my actual first introduction to Sonic was the Sonic OVA, or over here it was called Sonic the Hedgehog in the movie, because they actually combined the 2 OVAs into just one long-form movie. This game definitely improved on a lot of things that Sonic Adventure did. Of course, there's one thing in particular I don't like about it, which is the emerald hunting missions with Knuckles and Rouge. Mostly the hint system, and definitely the final 2 levels that they have. The 2 space levels in particular. I'm not the biggest fan of them. They're too big for my taste. and there are some hint messages to where it's upside down, so I end up not even using the hint system. I just start flying around until I can find them. So that's definitely why I think I kind of prefer Sonic Adventure 1 a little bit more than Sonic Adventure 2, but they're about equal anyways. Of course, this is the first game with Shadow and Rouge the Bat, and instead of playing as 6 different characters, you are pretty much, each stage you're playing as a different character with different characteristics, and they all, parallel each other. You have Sonic and Shadow, who's more of the speedy types, to where they go through the more platforming, speed, style levels. You have Tails and Eggman, to where they are mech shooters, and then you have Knuckles and Rouge, which is the Emerald Hunting missions. And of course, as I mentioned before, the Chao Garden was vastly improved compared to Sonic Adventure 1. The story is a lot more dramatic, which I do like the Sonic stories. I know that there's some Sonic fans that think that a lot of the stories are just... I know that there's this weird stigma about 3D Sonic game stories, but I personally like the stories, especially Sonic Adventure 2's. Seeing the whole mystery about Shadow was pretty cool, and like figuring out if he's good or bad, but as it turns out, he was basically a heartbroken hedgehog. That's what he was. And seeing him redeem himself and then seeing him sacrifice himself for Sonic's friends is a very powerful story. And fun fact about that is that that Shadow was actually meant to actually die. He wasn't supposed to be in any other games, but the fans spoke up and Sega listened. And of course, the music once again is amazing. One of my favorite levels in the game. I know that people are probably gonna say, I know that some people would probably expect me to choose City Escape, and I do love that one. However, I actually like the space levels with Sonic and Shadow. Those are some of my 2 favorite stages in the game. I also like the pyramid level with Sonic. There's just a lot of good levels in this game, and one thing I've always wanted to do was I've always wanted to get A ranks on all the stages so I can unlock Green Hill Zone. So I might do that as a stream one of these days. I think it would be a fun thing to do, honestly. And of course, a Chao Garden stream as well. But yeah, I mean, overall, this game is solid, and it's definitely worth the number 5 position along with its predecessor. And now we have Sonic Heroes. Essentially Sonic Adventure 3. And again, there were a lot of Sonic Adventure 3s. This was the first Sonic game I owned. I got it on the PS2, and I know that there's criticisms about the slipperiness, but I don't care. I love the game because you have 4 teams. And once again, you're playing as 7 characters with different attributes. You have the speed, power, and flight characters. So, for Team Sonic, you have obviously Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. For Team Dark, you have Shadow, Rouge, and a new character, E123 Omega. For Team Rose, you have Amy Rose, Cream, the Rabbit, and Big the Cat. Which at that point, Cream was kind of a new character, even though she debuted in Sonic Advance 2, and then Team Chaotix, which came back from Knuckles Chaotix. Espo, the Charmeleon, Charmy the Bee, and Vector the Crocodile. And the story is awesome because it makes Metal Sonic a total, my friends, badass. The music is once again on point, especially the theme songs for all the teams. My 2 personal favorites, well, my 3 personal favorites is This Machine, Team Dark's theme, We Can, which is Team Sonic's, and What I'm Made Of, which is pretty much Team Supersonics and also Metal Sonic's theme. Now, this game isn't perfect, of course, because this game does have its flaws, especially the bullet station level, to where you're on grinding rails, and it's very easy to screw up because there's times you have to jump off, like you have to jump sometimes off down to a rail that's below you, and if you don't set yourself just right, you end up dying. But that game has a special place in my heart because it was my first Sonic game that I ever owned, and I own 3 copies of it. Well, 4 copies of it in my lifetime. I owned my original copy was for PS2, and then there is my 2 GameCube ones that I somehow misplaced. I don't know where they are, and then there was the one I had for PC. So I hope that they remaster that game for modern consoles. Eventually, I would love to replay that game, or B, I'm just going to have to download a ROM of it. Either way, I love this game. Don't care what the internet has to say about it. So yeah, number 4, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Is there really anything you can say about this game? It is vastly superior to the original game. It included Miles Hill's Prower. The levels, I think, are a lot more thought out compared to the first game. You have the introduction of the Spin Dash, Super Sonic, the very first metal robotic Sonic, which was, back then he was called Mecha Sonic. Of course, nowadays people call him Silver Sonic, so fans call him different things. This game is just awesome. It's also the introduction of the Death Egg, and the ending music is iconic. The stages are so fun to play in. One of my favorites is Casino Night Zone. I hope I'm getting the stages right, because I know that Sonic 2 and Sonic 3's stages are very similar named. So, but yeah, my first time I ever played this game was actually with the Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, and which was my first time experiencing classic Sonic, and I sucked. For some reason, I feel like I got better at games when I got older. Okay, yeah, Casino Night Zone, and I believe the stage in Sonic 3 was Carnival Night Zone. Correct on that. Yeah, Carnival Night Zone. Which, as everyone knows, the theme song, well, the ending theme is actually a redone version of the song from I forgot. It's called Sweet Dreams. I forgot what the band it's called, but one of them actually composed all the music for Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. And the reason why he was brought back for CD or Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was because he was starting to get, that band was starting to get bigger, so they had to pay licensing and all that, and yet they ended up trying to get Michael Jackson to work on the Sonic 3 and Knuckles music, which his contribution may or may not be still in the game. I'm not going to question their logic on that. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is just an amazing Sonic game. I would always, before I actually beat it how you're supposed to beat it, I would always turn on level select, turn on debug mode, make it to where I can get awesome chaos emeralds. I would play through Emerald Hill to the final stage, to the final boss, and I would just go through I would just go through that game as just Super Sonic. I would call it my Super Sonic playthrough. And I would make it to where the ring count couldn't... I'm pretty sure a lot of people did this, but I would make it to where there was no actual visible ring count. I would break the actual ring count to the point I had just a insane number of rings. And yeah, I love that game. So, number 3. This one was definitely one I knew that was in my top 5. I didn't know where it sat. Everyone knows I praise this game. I think it is one of the best 3D Sonic games that came out, for sure. It is a celebration of Sonic for his, I believe for his 25th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, or 20th. Definitely not prepared, aren't I? Okay, yeah, the 20th anniversary. And this game brought back classic Sonic. The plot is pretty basic. Pretty much what happens is that after Sonic Colors, Eggman finds the oh my god, I'm having a hard time remembering stuff. Don't you hate that when you can't remember things? Time meter, to where they get the time meter and then they go back in time, and then what happens is, which is kind of funny, is that classic Eggman ends up joining modern Eggman after you play the Death Egg Robot boss as classic Sonic. And they actually do this whole thing to where they actually acknowledge the fact that no one calls Eggman Dr. Robotnik anymore, which is actually not true, because there's a lot of people that like to call the more classic Eggman Robotnik, and then call the modern Eggman Eggman. You know, I call them by both names depending on my mood. And this game brought back a lot of stages from various eras of games, and let me read them off so I don't forget. Okay, the first era, the classic era, Green Hill Zone, taken from Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Chemical Plant, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sky Sanctuary Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. Rivals, Classic Metal Sonic, Stardust Speedway. Boss, Death Egg Robot, Death Egg Zone. Second era, which is called the Dreamcast era. Speed Highway, City Escape, Seaside Hill, Rival, Shadow the Hedgehog, Boss, Perfect Chaos. Third era, Crisis City from Sonic 06, Rooftop Run, Planet Risk, Rival, Silver the Hedgehog, and Boss A Dragoon, and final boss is Time Meter. And there's even downloadable content of this game of Casino Night, but it's not actually a zone. It's not a playable level. It's just pinball. This game has something cool that I wish all Sonic games did, to where you can actually replace the stage music with other music, as in you can play Green Hill Zone with Open Your Heart playing, or Crisis City with Green Hill Zone playing. And that's one of the things I love about Sonic Generations, is that aspect. And there's so many different mini games you can do. Sonic Generation is overall a very good time. It's actually the first Let's Play I started on my channel. And during that Let's Play is when I brought Shadow in, the infamous thing to where Shadow quite literally put me in a cage and he fully took over. Of course, the voice wasn't fully refined then. And then finally, once you beat Time Meter, you are able to play as Supersonic and Classic Supersonic. The issue is that the ring count ends up draining. But there is, I believe there's actually a fix for that on the PC version of Sonic Generations. It's a mod. So yeah, I mean, number 3 is Sonic Generations. Now these next two games could have easily been number 2 or number 1. I love them both pretty much equally, but considering this is a top 5, number 2 is Sonic Mania, of course. Sonic Mania is a wonderful game. It's a tribute to the classic era. I like to call it Classic Sonic Generations for a reason. They brought back a lot of classic stages, and they have 3 new stages that I'm a big fan of, including Studiopolis, because that theme song is... oh my god. And then there's Mirage Saloon, that is kind of... It's based on this unused scrap stage that they're gonna use for Sonic 2. And of course, with all classic Sonic games, the formula is very much like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, to where there's save slots. You can play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and of course, once you get the Plus upgrade for Sonic Mania, you actually are able to play as 2 people that people have been wanting back in the Sonic franchise, which is Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. And what's more interesting about this too is that this game actually ties into Sonic Forces, because of the ending. Sonic ends up getting sent into this wormhole because of the Phantom Ruby, and that's where he ends up in Sonic Forces. Now, some people may not like that whole thing, but honestly, if you just, it's still a great game either way. You know, the graphics is beautiful. What they wanted to do was they wanted to make the graphics in between Genesis and Saturn, and with the Plus upgrade, the Encore update, as I like to call it, they actually changed some things in the game, like when you fight Metal Sonic, when you got to the final stage, you would only be able to fight just regular Metal Sonic, but they changed it to the more giant, monstrous version of Metal Sonic. That is kinda a homage to Knuckles Chaotix. And then also with Encore mode, it actually takes place after Sonic Forces, because Sonic comes back and you have to go on a new adventure, which is pretty cool. So overall, Sonic Mania is a good game. Do I consider it the best Sonic game in 20 years? No. I think people over-exaggerated that. I think people that said that were bandwagoners that jumped onto the Sonic hate train. Especially IGN. You know, Sonic has never been good, which they can... Don't get me started on that one. But I highly recommend this game. And yeah. Now we're at number 1. At number 1 is none other than Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This game, to me, refines the classic Sonic form. It greatly improves on what Sonic 2 left off. And now, what was cool about this was that first you had to buy Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and then you had to buy Sonic and Knuckles. And then you could combine the two. And you get to pretty much play what they wanted you to basically... what they wanted players to play, which was this full experience, 16 zones. You have 2 different types of emeralds to collect, the Chaos and the Super Emeralds, and if you collect the Super Emeralds, you could turn into Hypersonic, which is a form that I really want back. They can definitely work around the whole Caesars thing. They totally could, because I've seen a lot of fan-made Hypersonic mods that did something cool with it. And not only that, this is actually the first time that we got to see Tails transform into Super Tails, and what's cool is that his flickies would actually destroy enemies. Yes, the freaking flickies would also gain a super form, basically, which is pretty cool. And then Knuckles also has 2 forms, Super Knuckles and Hyper Knuckles. There's not really much difference between the two. That's the only thing I never really liked about Tails or Knuckles' super transformation is that they're not as impressive compared to Sonic and Shadows or Blazes or Silvers. But I do think it's cool that you can generally have, like, you can have 3 saves to where it's just the Chaos Emeralds for the characters that can actually use the Chaos Emeralds to turn Super, and then you can have, like, the other save files be for, like, the Super Emeralds as well, so that, you know, if you don't want to play as Hypersonic during the final boss, then you can just play one of those save files to where you just have the Chaos Emeralds. The music is great. Ice Cap Zone is still one of my favorite stage music. And of course, this is the introduction of Mecha Sonic as well. And there's 3 different stories. Knuckles' story is pretty cool because it takes place after the Adventure Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And what's also pretty cool is that I know a lot of trivia about this game. Like, ironically enough, you were actually supposed to go to Flying Battery Zone after Carnival Night Zone, because there's going to be a transition to where you see the airship come in and then Sonic flies up, which makes more sense why, you know, it never made sense why he went from night to day. There was definitely something missing there. And actually, that piece of snowboard that Sonic has in Ice Cap is actually from the ship, from the Flying Battery Zone ship. And there's a lot of fan remasters of Sonic 3 Knuckles that has it to where you can actually make it like that, of what Sega originally wanted. And there's so many cool customizations you can do. I actually streamed that on my YouTube, and it was pretty fun. But yeah, Sonic 3 Knuckles, in my opinion, definitely improved on what Sonic 2 did. And honestly, I can't wait till Sonic Origins. I'm happy that Sonic 3 Knuckles is coming back. That game, I feel like, got a little slept on. There was rumors because of the whole music rights with the Jackson estate. So I'm glad that they're doing this for us. And yeah, with that said, if you all have enjoyed this top 5, definitely make sure to comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell button. When you do hit that bell button, make sure to click it to get all of our notifications. And yeah, I'll see you all later, and definitely jump into the stream to where I'm streaming Sonic Symphonies right now. And happy birthday, Sonic. I hope you have 30 more years on you. Later, guys.